Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of my Natasha Denona palettes. So I have 13 of her palettes and 3 of her mini palettes. So I'm going to be going through all of those today. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but rankings stress me out. So I've been kind of pushing it off, and I think December is the best time to do this kind of stuff. So tags, rankings, that kind of stuff, because we can reflect on things before the new year starts and before new things start coming out. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and a lover of makeup, with a soft spot for indie makeup and colorful makeup. And I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so I'm not wearing any of these actually on my eyes. I'm testing out a new eyeliner, so I'm doing a wear test and stuff, and then I am wearing my Haus Labs Mocha lipstick, favorite go-to daily wet lipstick, and then my base makeup, if you're interested, will all be in the description box. I basically have a little bit of the Haus Labs foundation right here where I get the most redness, and then some spot concealer, bronzer, blush. I do look a little different right now because it is fully dark. It's that time of year in Seattle where I have a couple hours in the middle of the day that might be okay to use natural light. Otherwise, that's it. So I do have an actual light over there, but it's very bright and not adjustable. So I feel like it's washing me out a little bit, but whatever. We'll see how it looks when I go to actually put it up. Also, before I start, I do want to talk about what my friend Steven is going through with Natasha Denona, because I'm talking about Natasha Denona, I can't not mention this. So Steven is part of the reason I love Natasha Denona. He was the one that was like, you need to try them. He has basically all of her palettes. He has a lot of products from her, but he recently bought some of her eyeliners. I think he bought 2 or 3 of them. I don't remember how many, because they're marked as vegan. One is a brown and one is a burgundy red color, but they were both marked as vegan. And he is very sensitive to carmine. He has, if it gets too close to his lash line or his eye, he gets very bad reactions. And he's had issues with some of, eyeshadows and stuff and some eyeliners, but he saw these were vegan. He read the ingredients list. There was no carmine. So he bought them, hoping that that would be a better alternative than some other eyeliners that do, and put them on. Immediately had a very bad reaction, had to wash his face. His eyes were really angry and irritated. And then he looked at the box, and the box shows carmine on both of them, both the brown and the red burgundy, but which makes them not vegan. So the package itself, like the box the eyeliner came in, doesn't match the ingredients list at Sephora or on the Natasha Denona website. As of right now, he's posted about this on Instagram. I think someone put it on Reddit. A larger account on Instagram has posted about it, and he has emailed Natasha Denona, tagged her and stuff. A lot of people have tagged her. He hasn't heard back from the brand, as far as I know, as of filming, but they did update the website to take away the fact that they're vegan. And they did add carmine to the ingredients list. So they did fix it online, but they haven't responded, and it still shows vegan plus carmine on the box itself. So don't know what's gonna happen with that. Hopefully he should get a refund and an apology, and they should do, I don't know what they'll do, but they should do something, because I think that's not only unethical, but there might be laws that they've broken. But it shows you how badly regulated makeup is, especially when you see something as not safe for the eyes or is safe for the eyes. Makeup, or things like clean beauty, that there's not a regulation around saying something is clean or not. So hopefully there's a resolution. If there is, in the next day or 2, I will put it in a pinned comment, but I did want to mention that before I talk about Natasha Denona as a brand, because I think that really sours me towards the brand itself. It's just one of a few things that they've done where I'm like, that's not great. You need to publicly say, like, publicly fix this, not just try to hide it by changing the website. Editing Colin here. So I basically finished editing most of this video, and then this morning, Steven had an update on the Natasha Denona situation. So he emailed them the other day, like a few days ago, and over the last couple days, they updated the website and Sephora and everything to show the proper ingredient list with Carmine, and took vegan off of everything. And then emailed him saying, here's a refund, but our website doesn't say that it's vegan, and it does show that it has Carmine in it. But multiple accounts have timestamped screenshots showing that they just changed that it used to say that. He still has the package that says vegan on it, right next to where it says Carmine. Like, they're obviously lying and just trying to gaslight him and us now at this point. So this might be the last time I feature Natasha Denona on my channel for a while. This is, like, all they had to do was say, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. Mistakes happen. And they could have done something to correct that and build, you know, a better reputation, but instead they're just lying and pretending like nothing happened. And it's 2022, almost 2023. The internet's forever. Everybody keeps receipts for things. Like, you can't lie about this stuff. So it doesn't make me feel very I don't feel the brand is being very trustworthy, and it really, really sours my opinion of Natasha Denona as a brand. So I'm still posting this video also so that this can be up, but I don't think, other than like my declutter, which should be going up in the next week, I don't think I'll be posting or showing Natasha Denona on my channel for a while unless something changes, because this is ridiculous. This is not how you run a brand or a company. So I've been wanting to do this for a while. Rankings stress me out, although this one was actually really easy compared to other ones that I've done. Also, I am very excited. So before I start, I don't talk about clothes on here ever because I don't buy clothes very often. I am definitely one of those people, one, because it's more sustainable, and two, because I grew up really poor. I don't buy clothes very often. I basically wear things unless they don't fit, or they're falling apart. And I have things that I've had for years. There's a few shirts that I can't really wear right now because I think my chest is too big now. But I'm holding on to them in case I can wear them again in the next year or so. But I did buy a new jacket this weekend. I got it on sale, and I just have to show it off. So I am in love. It's from Scotch and Soda, so it's really nice quality. It's really heavy. They're really expensive, but I did get a really good price on this. And it's just so perfect. We went to look for something for my husband, and I was just kind of browsing, and I saw this from across the room, and I immediately went over, looked at it, was like, oh my God, it's on sale. Tried it on, was like, buying it. Fastest time I ever bought something expensive like that. I have a Ted Baker jacket that's a similar style, but like a plain color, kind of like this, red. And that took my husband like 30 minutes of trying to convince me that I like it enough that it's worth buying. So I just had to show this off. It's so cute. It's very it's very busy, but in like a way I like. There's like a martini glass, there's fountains, there's all kinds of flowers and swirls, there's like random little olives and stuff, like little olives all over it. I just had to have it. To the makeup, I do want to preface before this that I like all of these palettes. I don't regret buying any of them. And some of them, especially the couple at the bottom, I don't love as a color story itself, but because they're magnetic, you can rearrange them however you want. So I see them, I got them, most of these I got on sale, at least. Yeah, most of these I got on sale, a lot of them more than half off. But I see them also as a collection of singles. So I don't regret any of these. I don't have her new one, the new Retro Glam. I want it, but I don't $70 want it. I really, really like some of the shades in it, but I swatched it at Sephora, and so many were very similar on my skin tone. Like the two dark browns, like one's a little more purple, but like they're both pretty satin and really similar. And the two more minty, like the more sage kind of shades looked identical on me. One of the pinks didn't show up at all. The pale like taupe didn't show up at all. So it was one of those, like, I will get this eventually because I do like some of the colors and I want to be able to mix and match things, but it's not worth $70, so I can wait. until it's on a good sale at some point. But I do like all of these. So if I rank something at the bottom that you really love, no offense, it's just not colors that speak to me. I think the quality on all of these is pretty consistent. There might be a shade here and there that doesn't really work well for me, but overall, I like them all. So before I start, I do want to mention the 3 minis I have. I didn't include these in the overall ranking because they're 5-pan palettes. They're minis, they're good for travel, and I really love them. They would actually, 2 of them would probably be very high up, but it seems it's hard and kind of unfair to pair them against something with more options. I like options. I'm not a person that likes quads. Generally, unless you're doing every shade by itself, most quads are designed with like 1, maybe 2 looks in them, and I just don't like that. These I do think are designed really well. So I have Mini Gold, Mini Star, and Mini Tropic. This one's fine. If I'm ranking these 3, this one's the bottom. This is probably the bottom of all of them. It's fine. I am not mad that I got it, especially I think I spent $10. Totally worth $10. This purple is pretty. This like bluey silver is a really pretty shade. It's not like a standalone color story for me though. But I'm not mad that I have it, especially for $10. I feel like the shades are okay. But these 2, Mini Gold and Mini Star, I adore. I've talked about these a lot on my channel. I included one of them, I think, maybe both in the giveaway I did last year when I hit, or earlier this year when I hit 1K. Really, really love these. They are something I travel with when I've traveled. They're also just really easy to use. This one is perfect. It's got a nice beige shade that's like almost my skin tone. It's got a green shade, and then it's got these really beautiful shimmers. I'm a sucker for greens and olives, so like, love this. And then this is Mini Star. I really do want the big star. Love this shade. And then I really like this kind of green gold here. And then it's got, I think, 2 really good mattes, one that's lighter and one that can add some smoke. They do pull a little bit darker on the eye, which I also appreciate. So I think these are both a great deal. I think they're now $29 instead of $25, but especially on a sale, totally worth it. Love these. So for the majority of these palettes, I have almost all of the midis, and then I have a handful of the big palette. I wanted to buy the 28 pans for Black Friday, but it wasn't in my budget this year. But I do really want to get those eventually, especially as a way of having a bunch of really nice singles. But I've kind of ranked these mostly in color story and how often I use them. That's pretty much, I don't think any of these are bad. It's really just like least used to most used. So if you know me, I'm curious if you'll guess the top couple correctly. I'm sure Steven probably will. I don't know about anybody else. So in the 13th spot is going to be the Pastel palette. I do really like this. I think these are really good pastels, but I don't wear pastels very often. I'm not mad that I have this, and I think it's a good collection of singles and companion to other stuff for that bright pop, but it's not something I'm gonna wear alone all the time. The shimmers in here are on the more subtle, sparkly side, but they are really pretty. And some of the shades here are really nice. Like, I really love Zest. I really like this blue here. I really like this cream to powder purple, which is definitely not as dark as this looks, but still really love it. So I think this is a really good quality. I think I do have a video with this, and there are a couple shades that didn't really show up well on my skin tone, but I knew that going into it with the pastel, and you'll see with more pastel shades and other palettes, the ones that are like cream to powder, like a lot of these, like this Tulle shade, I really like having pastels in that formula. I don't like her creamy mattes in pastels. They don't show up on my skin tone, even with a white base. They just don't work very well. But the cream to powders are great. Like, there's a very similar pink to this in one of the other palettes, but it doesn't show up on me at all because it's a powder. But being a cream to powder, this one works. So I'm not mad that I have this. I do wish I would have gotten it on a better sale than I did, but not mad that I have this or got to review it. Okay, and then number 12 is going to be the Natasha Denona Love palette. I know a lot of people really love this palette. I just don't like pinks that much. I don't mind a pink lipstick and a pink shadow every once in a while. I just don't think bright pinks and baby pinks and pinks look that nice on my olive skin tone that much, and I don't gravitate towards them. So I do really like some of the colors in here, and I did get this half off. I think I spent $30 on this, and I think it's totally worth that, especially because I can mix it around. But like this first shade, I've tried to use it, but I'm never going to use it because of the tone. Valentine, I'm never going to use. Again, doesn't show up on me. Intense works pretty well. Really like Soul. I don't wear red very often, so it's nice to have, but I don't use true reds very often. But like the dark red, I like that. And I like the purples and the shimmers in here. So I do like individual shades from this, but as a color story, it's not for me. So the next palette actually might piss off some people. So coming in at number 11, so 13, 11, is going to be the Glam palette. This is probably most people's favorite Natasha Denona palette, especially white people. But it does have some really beautiful shades in it, and I do really love it. It was actually, it and Bronze were my first two Natasha Denona palettes. I got one as a present and one with a gift card that I got for my birthday, so I didn't pay for either. But it's not my favorite. So I really like neutral eyeshadow. I wear them periodically, and more so lately than in the past. I have two problems with this. One, these two shades do not work on me very well. Like this is just ash, and this one is like almost okay, but also a little ashy. So I just basically have two shades that I'm never going to use, and then I have three mattes that I can. Blend is basically my skin tone, so it's a good transition. Smoke is not a smoke shade, it's just like a mid-tone brown on me. Lash Line is a good smoking out shade. I don't like the naming scheme, and I know she came out later saying like, here's how you can adjust it and what shade to put in crease or transition and stuff if you are a different skin tone. But the fact that these are the default is once again showing that fair-skinned white people are the default and everyone else is an afterthought. So that's also a knock against this palette. The other shade, I like the shimmers in here a lot, especially these three up here, the like pink taupes. I adore these, and I really like these right here. But like these two silvers look pretty similar. They're just kind of silvery. This is like a brown bronze, which I like, but I have a lot of another kind of cool tone bronzy gold, have a lot of, especially from Natasha Denona. So like the shades are really beautiful, but the naming scheme, having a couple that I can't really use, and then these over here pulling a little too cool for me. When I use it, I really like it, but I don't use all the shades and I don't grab it very often. If I'm gonna use cool tones, I much prefer Pat McGrath Subliminal or something like that to this. The next one is also another one that most people really love, and it is the Bronze palette. So this is number 10, I think. And I really do love this palette, but it's a little too monochromatic for me. I don't like monochromatic palettes. I hate them, actually. I don't like monochromatic looks that much. I don't think there's enough contrast in them. And I don't like monochromatic palettes because you're forced to use one color, and I just don't like that. I know that was a big trend for a while. ColourPop released them, and other people see them all the time. I just don't like them. I want at least 2 to 3 colors or tones that I can like use and mix around with. I think they're more versatile that way. My other complaint with this is that there are differences between all of these shades, but a lot of them it's very subtle. So like these 3 mattes are all really beautiful, but they're all mid-tone, warm, browns with just varying degrees of like what tone of orange is in them. Magma is beautiful. I do really love these two mattes. And I use this one a lot. I don't use these two very often. This one's a little too orange and this one's a little too light. So I tend to use that, this, and this. And then I really love Silk. I really love Bliss. I think ColourPop has a shade similar to Bliss, and I think it was it's like a pinky peach palette that everybody loves and I decluttered last year. This is just a better version of that. But I would say true bronze is not actually true bronze. As someone that's worked in archaeology, that I wouldn't call that a bronze, I would just call that a gold. Alloy is really beautiful, but not too different. I think it's just, those subtle variations are really nice and I do appreciate them, but it's fairly monochromatic, fairly mid-tone. I do really love these two shades as well, but that's why it's here. It's pretty, but it's kind of redundant upon itself. Like it's a little repetitive. Okay, so the next palette is going to be number 9, and that is the Sunrise palette. I don't have Sunset. It was on sale for half off, but I just don't reach for those kind of tones enough to even spend $60 on it, and I'm not that big of a collector that I feel the need to have it. This is really beautiful. Again, I got this for like $30. Couple of shades I don't really use very often, like Morning is way too pale for me. This one's nice, but you know, pale. This shade is a nice shimmer, but a very pale shimmer. You've got another bronze. I do really love this palette though, mostly for these shades, like this kind of orangey shade. This Jasper shade is one of my favorites. Really love Clove. It's a really unique like clove color. It's purple undertone. I really like Citrine. I like the shimmers in here. I think this is a really cute palette and I'm really happy I got it for half off. But I just don't grab it as much as some of the other ones. And I think this is more in line with the color stories I like and why it ranks above bronze. It's just because there's more depth, there's more shade variation, there's more tonal variation in color. It's more versatile. You can do more distinct looks with it versus everything kind of turning out looking the same. So the next couple, I would say that one and the next two were kind of hard to rank because I like them about equally. But the next one, number 8, yeah, so number 8 is going to be Circo Loco. So I really liked this when it first came out, but I held off because it was one of those, I like it, I don't $120 like it. I did get it half off later, and I do think it was worth that price. I'm gonna hold it upside down because the hinge on the mirror doesn't stay open, never has, and I don't wanna have the mirror reflect too much. It's very colorful. I love that she did a full-on colorful palette. Really love some of these shades. I do think this orange and this orange are the same color, just different formulas. One's matte, one's shimmer, so you can do a nice monochromatic look with that. But I know some people didn't like that. This shade I can't use. Cotton Candy does not show up on me at all, but Fun to Mime is a cream to powder and does show up on me. So I really do like this, especially my favorite shades are like Snow Cone, Aerialist. This purple is really beautiful. Razzle Dazzle is this really pretty raspberry shade. I really like this, especially as a companion piece. But I don't think it was worth $120, but $60, definitely. But it is really beautiful and I'm really happy I have it. I think Grin is a really interesting kind of yellow gold. So I think this is a really good job. I just wish this was the same size as this instead of being the big pans. So number 7 is going to be the Triochrome palette. So I did get this in a bundle of Circo Loco, so I got both half off. And I am very happy I did that, and I do really love this. I think this is a really unique, special color story, and a really nice collection of singles especially. The reason it doesn't rank higher is these are all really unique shades. Like I don't have dupes for like this shade or this shade or this really. But a couple of these are really pale. Like Redux is pretty and blends nicely with here, but it's very pale. Vertex, also very pale and doesn't really work for me. I do really, Androdite is also another like really pale. I can use it as an inner corner pop, but that's like it. But these shades here, manganese, that was hard to say. These two down here, really love. The shimmers are beautiful. They're not, you know, multi-chrome you're gonna get from Terra Moons or Cleona or something, but they are really pretty and do look nice. More of a subtle shift. I think Color Flip has a decent shift. Scarab has a good one. Really love Scarab. I just, it's a little pale for me, and that's why it doesn't rank higher, even though there are specific shades in here I really love. And I think it's a really underrated palette in her. So next is actually going to be the newest palette I have from her, and is the My Dream palette. So I really love this. It ranked really high in my last ranking. I would recommend this one a lot. I think this is a good best of. None of the shades are, well, Black is existing, and I think one other one in here, but it's not a best of like she picked colors from other palettes, but it's like a best of her formulas, her colors. You've got some cool tones, you've got some warm tones. I think it's a very versatile palette, very user-friendly, really beautiful fall, winter color story. I adore this palette. Got this. I think I paid full price for this one, and I'm not mad about that. I think this is a really beautiful palette. So in the 5th spot is going to be the Retro palette. So this came out last year. I didn't buy it at launch. I bought it on sale sometime in like the spring. And I really do love this palette. It is a little monochromatic, but not too badly. This, I'm sure some people might have thought might rank higher. I know some people said this is one of their favorites. I really do like this. I think Mod is an interesting pale shade that actually shows up on me, so I can use it as an inner corner pop or something. I think Nude Mauve is beautiful. I do like that there's like some peachier shades in here, some taupes like Nude Mauve, Opart, and Jude. You've got the more berry shades. I do think Groove and Rebellion are fairly similar. Like this one's a little cooler. This one's a little warmer, but like not overly distinct. I think Psychedelic and Glitz are pretty, but they're like a little underwhelming compared to some shades in a similar formula. Like I think Psychedelic is supposed to be her Chroma Crystal, and this one's a weaker Chroma Crystal. Jude though, I love Jude, I love Patty, and I love Helio. I used those a lot when I first got this. I really like the shade Andy. I think this is a really nice cool tone palette, really beautiful. I really like this. These are the two that I was like torn. Is this one 6 and this one 5? Is this one 6 and this one 5? But I've used this one more than this. So it's ranking there for now, but who knows, maybe next year it'll be swapped. Okay, so top 4. The next one is definitely gonna surprise some people, but not surprise others. So number 4 is gonna be the Endo palette. I do not have the mini Endo, I do want it, but I love this. I know this got a lot of hate, and I don't understand why. So I know my friend Steven didn't like it because he said the formulas didn't perform very well, like especially the blue shades and the creamed powders, he said just didn't work. I haven't had an issue with them at all, so I don't know if his palette was like a dud or something, but this is one of the most used palettes from her I've gotten. I got this one when it launched, and I think this is the kind of color story I like. You've got warm tones, you've got neutrals, and you've got cool tones. I think the biggest thing is people tried to mix things badly. So like this Vigor shade is a really pretty red, and it's going to contrast nicely with like these cool tones, but they're on the opposite ends of the color wheel. So while they're gonna make each other pop, you don't wanna blend them into each other. They're just gonna turn muddy. And I think a lot of what I saw people struggling with is they would just pick random shades without thinking, and it would turn to mud. And it was like, well, yeah, you took an army green, a red, and a blue, and you smushed them all together and it turned into mud. Like, that's not surprising. you just didn't pause and think about it or think about how the colors actually work together. But if you, kind of stick with the warm side, the cool side, you can mix them. I think Balance is a really nice neutral that works with these shades and these shades. I think Mindful is another really beautiful brown. Zeal is a really nice army green. These blue shades, they're not as intense as the shimmers in like Circo Loco, but I don't think every shimmer needs to be super sparkly, super intense, super vibrant. Some days I want that, some days I want something more subtle. And I like that this has colorful shades but subtle. Yama is a duochrome. It's not the strongest. It's like peach to green, but it is really pretty and it does make a nice wash of that like sparkle. So I've used this a lot for travel because I can do a blue look or a pop of blue, or I can just do Balance and Zeal and Yama, or throw one of these really pretty like pinky bronzes on. So it's been very useful for that. And I really love this, and I think it's severely underrated. With monochromatic palettes, you can just throw any shades together and generally come up with an okay look. With palettes that have more diversity in shades, you can't, and you have to think about it a little bit more, but I like that. I like thinking about makeup, I like planning things, and if I am in a rush and don't know what to do, I can still just throw the neutral browns on and call it a day. Okay, so top three will probably not be a surprise to people. So number 3 is going to be Lila. I don't know if this is still available or if it was discontinued, but I think it's really beautiful. A lot of people think of it as a purple palette because the packaging is purple and there are a couple purple shades, but it's just a cool toned neutral palette pretty much. And I think it's a better version of it than Retro. I think they pair nicely together. But if you cover the vibrant purple and the more pinky purple, you've got like cool tone neutrals, and then you've got these pops. I think the formulas in this are superior. Some of the shades in here are in Retro, like Nude Mauve and, what was it, Amara. So Nude Mauve and Amara. They're not the same colors though. Like, these tonally are a little different. Swatch side by side, they don't look the same. And I think these perform better. And I think there's a shimmer that's the same in here. Helio. I think this is a better Helio. But I think when I want cool toned shadows, I'm gonna pick up this or Subliminal from Pat McGrath or something more than I'm gonna pick up like Love or Retro even. I just love this. It's got that little bit of like gold and purple to really like make it special. So really love this. Okay, so number 2 is probably not going to be a surprise to anybody, and it is the gold palette. I don't know if this is available again. Some of these things said they were discontinued, but then she got more stock somehow. I don't know. This is like one of my perfect neutral palettes. I do like that you've got the pop of blue here. Some people say green. This is just blue. At least on my skin tone, this is a blue. And this is a blue shimmer. This is a beautiful duochrome, that green duochrome. These shades are really nice for that wash of sparkle, white effect look. You've got this beautiful mustard. You've got some really nice transition shades for my skin tone. And then you've got these pretty golds and this bronze. I think this is one of her best color stories. And I really hope she brings this and Lila back, but in the $65, $69 midi size. I think they would sell. I think they would be good staple palettes in her collection and sell really well, kind of like how Biba sells really well because it's just those standard neutrals. I think these would also just do really well and even better in that $65, $69 now price range. Okay, so number 1 is not going to be any surprise at all if you know me or you know what I have or you know my color preferences, and it is Metropolis. I love this palette so much. I didn't get this one fully half off, but I did get like 30% off, and I'm very happy that I was able to grab it before, well, it was gone and then it came back, but this is amazing. I wish she would do more like this with the midi size palettes, but a lot of them, as long as they're curated well. I don't want shades that are too similar. Like, that's part of why I don't want retro glam right away. I know some people say that there's a bit of redundancy here, but I don't have that problem. Each of these look pretty distinct, at least on my skin tone. Like this blue and this dark green look very different. These two blues look pretty different. This blue shimmer is so beautiful. I do like the warm neutrals in here, but I don't grab them too often. What I tend to grab is like one of these two mattes if I want more neutral, more yellow. And then I use a lot of these shades up here. These olivey tones are my go-to, my favorite. I think this is a really beautiful bronze right here. You've got like an olive bronze. You've got this really pretty olive gold sparkle. You've got this like avocado green olivey. You've got like, this is also kind of like a dark olive. Like it's just, especially if you have olive undertones, this is like perfect. You've got everyday neutrals, you've got warm neutrals, you've got neutral neutrals, you've got greens, you've got pops of blue in color, which look nice against brown eyes and my skin tone. So this is perfect. I hope she never gets rid of this because it's just such a good palette. I love this so much. If I lost this and it was still available, I would buy a backup. Like, I love this so much. Okay, so that is my ranking. Let me know what you think, if you would rank these differently, if you have these, like what your thoughts are. I would love to hear it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.